Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is for Pisces rising, also known as the Ascendant. The Ascendant is the mask that we wear around others, the image that we project when we are first meeting someone or how they perceive us. And it's not that we're just constructing this false self. It comes naturally to us, and my feeling is that it's connected to the past, that it connects to our family of origin and what we felt we needed to do in order to fit in, or it could be the way that others treated us. And depending on what your sun sign is, if it's quite different than Pisces, it's going to show that perhaps you did not feel like you belonged in your family. You may have felt like an outcast or a black sheep. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this. And I'm going to use Whitney Houston because I actually was trying to think of a famous person that I knew had Pisces rising, and I couldn't think of any. And then all of a sudden, Whitney Houston came into my mind for like a completely different reason. And I said, yeah, that's right. She has Pisces rising. Now, Whitney Houston had the sun in Leo and the moon in Aries. So we're talking about two fire sign, sun-moon combo, fire signs being masculine signs. And she had Pisces rising, feminine water, okay? And when I first laid eyes on Whitney Houston, it was before she was known for singing. This is actually going to give away my age in a way because I remember it very clearly. That was 1980, and I was reading 17 magazine, and she was a model. And they didn't even call her Whitney Houston. They just said Whitney. And there was something about her, the way she looked, that really... I remembered her. I mean, when she became a singer, and I think I heard that she was a model, I remember that, thinking what a pretty girl she was. And it was just like very interesting that she really caught my eye. And anyway, fast forward to when she became a singer initially. Again, there was like this feminine energy coming from her, not knowing her, not hearing her open her mouth or anything like that. I mean, when I say open her mouth, when she began to sing and she became famous, then obviously I heard her open her mouth for singing, but I still had this certain image of her when she first came on the scene. And then later, I remember seeing an interview with her. Now, this was not years later when she was with Bobby Brown, but when she was, really hot and, very famous and popular, having a lot of hits. And she was in this interview, and I couldn't believe how she almost sounded kind of crude. There was like this totally different voice than what I expected, that I had heard earlier on. And not, putting the astrology together, it just blew my mind. And then of course, she had her personal problems. And I remember, like at the end of her life, I remember seeing some interview, and I saw that vulnerability. I was telling you, I saw almost like that masculine part of her, and then I saw the vulnerability, and then I found out that she had Pisces rising. Now, that is a long-winded kind of an explanation of what I'm talking about, but a lot of times, if somebody has a fire sign, sun sign, or even an air sign, they will... that's yang, that's masculine. They will tend to be very confident. But if they have Pisces rising, you can sense the vulnerability in them. And, it's kind of like this interesting dichotomy or, difference. I'll give you another example, and this is kind of funny because it's like a current person who is, I guess, I don't know if you'd call her a singer, but she's a rap artist, Cardi B, who I started getting, I didn't even know who she was until like about a month ago. And I became fascinated by her personality. And, I kept watching interviews with her. Her sun sign is in Libra and her moon sign is in Aries. If anyone knows her time of birth, because I've looked it up and I can't find it, I would like to know, because you need the time of birth to calculate the rising sign. I saw an interview, more than one actually, where she showed a very vulnerable side that reminded me of what I would imagine with someone like Whitney Houston, that showed the humility. She has that part of her that's very gutsy. And then I saw this kind of like a vulnerability. And it makes me think that she might have Pisces rising as well, but I don't know. And the point is that Pisces rising, whatever the sun sign, the person may give off a very, I don't want to say somebody who is like a damsel in distress, although there can be that tendency. For women, there can be a old-fashioned type of femininity where they are, I don't want to say helpless, but they make other people want to come to their rescue in some way. And sometimes this can be because there's a tendency to project or, outwardly complain. They are the victim all the time. And this is something that can stem from childhood. Perhaps they did grow up in a family that was dysfunctional, or a family that did not honor them, that did not give them the nurturing that they needed. And so they're trying to get that from other people as they grow up by complaining, by always characterizing their life as somehow being doomed or otherwise in disarray, having problems. And this kind of thing can be a protective device in a weird way, or coping mechanism, in order to gain attention from others. But really, what you're gaining is pity, and you're not gaining respect. So if there's that tendency, it has to be kind of nipped in the bud. It's not something that will get a person with Pisces rising very far, but they are very compassionate. You are very compassionate. You are very loving, and you're very psychic. And this is going to be true for all people who have water sign as their ascendant, because that is going to be the cusp of their first house. That is going to be a part of their self. But it is also the case where with Pisces rising, watch for any tendency to delude yourself, to lie to yourself. Always hold yourself accountable, and do not ever adopt the belief that life is happening to you. Don't buy into learned helplessness as your reality, because you may have emerged from a difficult background, but that doesn't mean that history will repeat itself. You may have a round face, and I should have said this with Cancer too, because Cancer rising can have a moon face, but Pisces rising can have big eyes that are very dreamy, kind of lost in a haze. You can be very curvy, like as a woman, you may be very voluptuous, and there's just this kind of kindness, mystical type of a vibe that comes off of you, and can be very seductive to others. And you are a very sensual person at the end of the day, regardless of what your sun sign is. And it's almost like you're ethereal, like not of this world. And people can feel that you're hard to pin down. And this is because Pisces is a mutable water sign. So you may be somebody who is very changeable, and you can be like the ultimate chameleon. So I hope that this resonated with some of you, and if you'd like a private reading, I have all kinds. Please check out my website, rainandmoonastrology.com. The link is below. Take care. Bye.